This week on HomeKit News, the Nature Remo Lapis IR Blaster with Meta. Welcome back everybody. Today we're looking at a rather small device inside this only slightly larger and elegantly designed box. This, as the box states, is the Nature Remo Lapis, a sort of successor to the previously reviewed Nature Remo Nano, both of which are Meta certified IR blasters. Let's have a quick look first, and all that's inside is the device itself, of course, and a manual. So this is the Lapis, and yes, it does look like a pebble, which sort of goes with the company name Nature. First off, the manual is in Japanese, as this product is only available in Japan, although you can import it from Amazon Japan. Aside from a manual, you only get the device itself, so you'll need your own USB-C power cable and a USB power supply. Let's now have a slightly closer look at the Lapis, and you can see that they've gone to great lengths to make it really look like a rock. You can just about make out a seam, however. A USB-C power cable plugs into the underside, as you can see here, and it's also fully Meta compatible and uses Wi-Fi, so it doesn't require a hub, as it essentially acts as a hub for IR devices anyway. This is not the first device with IR functionality by far, with Aqara having the P3, the M2 and now the M3, as well as two hubs from SwitchBot. The IR functionality in these is fairly limited, however. SwitchBot also made their own smart remote, which in some ways is better and is one that I actually use myself on a daily basis, but both the Lapis and the Nano are different. Speaking of the Nano, I'll just show you a comparison chart between the Lapis and the Nano, and you can see that the Lapis uses a later version of Meta 1.2, has built-in sensors and has larger coverage. Now, the company uses tatami mats as a unit of measurement, which I can only assume is normal in Japan. It also supports a maximum of 20 devices compared to just 3 devices with the Nano. So aside from the size and price difference, the Lapis is a clearly better product. On to installation, and you can add the Lapis to your own Meta platform directly, but it's not going to help much as you need to add devices to it via the Nature app. I'm going to add it now, and to be clear, you do need to set up an account in the app to do so, which is sort of a shame. I'll select the Lapis from the list, and as it uses Meta, you do need to allow the app to use Bluetooth to discover the Lapis in the first place. Setup is like any other Wi-Fi device, so I just add it to my 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi network and it's essentially ready. There was also a firmware update waiting, so it's good to see these available quite quickly. We'll have a better look at the Nature app in a bit, but now I need to add it to Apple Home, which involves the Meta numerical code. As is standard, this is really easy to set up in Apple Home, and after going through what room it's in and the name you're going to call it, you'll see that the previously mentioned built-in sensors are also exposed to Apple Home. Now, if I just hop into the hubs and bridges section, you can see the Lapis just listed above the Nano. If I go into the settings for this hub, you can see 2 accessories, which are basically those 2 same sensors, for which you'll see the purpose for later on. So why an IR blaster and not a smart plug, for example, you might ask? Well, while smart plugs have their plus points, there are some things that an IR blaster can offer that a smart plug can't. For devices that use a remote, in some instances you can control multiple aspects of that one device, like an AC unit, for example. A smart plug in general can only control one device at a time, with the exception of a smart power strip, whilst the Lapis can control up to 20 devices from the one hub. The areas where a smart plug is better is regarding the fact an IR blaster typically has to be within signal range of the IR receiver for the device it's meant to control. Now, only devices that already use some form of IR remote can be controlled, whereas a smart plug can be used for almost any electrical device. The big problem for smart plugs, however, is with devices that have what is often referred to as a soft button. These types, like the fan here, can't be left in the on position for when the smart plug is turned on, so nothing happens. A plug would work with my kettle though, as it has a physical button that I can leave in the on position, although many kettles don't offer this either. Okay, so if we hop back to the Nature app, you can see that the temperature and humidity readings are showing So to make use of them, I'm going to add an AC control to the Lapis. In this case, I'm not going to use the remote that came with the AC and instead choose from a list based on the brand, which is Hitachi. My specific remote isn't listed, but luckily enough, the second item on the list does actually work with my AC. And after testing the Lapis to turn the AC on, I can confirm it works, and it's set up just like that. I'll go into the AC settings and you can see I have control over pretty much all aspects of the AC, including 4 modes plus off, temper adjustment, and even fan speed with 5 speeds plus auto to choose from. In Apple Home, the AC has been ported over and is ready for use, although as is the case with most AC controls in Apple Home, you only get the basics, so no fan speed and only off, heat or cool options along with temperature control. I've set the Lapis up in the living room and I intend to initially control the AC with it. So you can see the Lapis next to my soundbar with the IR receiver for the AC way up high. Just to demonstrate it working, you can see I can set it to cool, which turns the AC on, and within a second or so the green LED on the AC shows that the AC is indeed on. I'll turn it off and the green LED turns off, of course. I'll just demonstrate one other example where I can add a control for a TV to demonstrate a limitation of all IR blasters, not just the Lapis. I'll select TV from the list of devices I can add, and in this case I will use the original remote and point it at the Lapis so it can identify the signal. It gives me a test button to make sure the Lapis is sending the right signal, and once again it works first time. In the Nature app, I get a virtual remote to control all aspects of the TV previously available on the original remote, which is great. However, none of these will be exposed to Apple Home, so if you have a HomeKit TV, you're going to get more control than via the Lapis. If your TV isn't smart, then at least you'll now be able to control the power via Apple Home, which is something. I've gone ahead and added 4 devices to the Lapis to show that it can exceed the limit of 3 devices found on the Nano. I'd like to have added more, but I don't have that many devices that use a remote, at least not all in one room. What I do have basic control for is the aforementioned TV, the set-top box, a Panasonic fan, and the previously shown Hitachi AC unit. So on to the pros and cons, starting with the positive, and Matter is the main option here to add devices that don't normally work with Apple Home that use an IR blaster. So if you have something you're desperately wanting to get into Apple Home so you can control it even in a basic way, this is the one. With the Lapis, you can now get the option to control up to 20 devices, which is a massive leap from the Nano, which supports just 3 devices. Whilst Nano could also control your AC, without built-in sensors, your AC was sort of incomplete. So with the Lapis having its own sensors, you have a better overview regarding your room and what to do with your AC. I don't think anyone would have any qualms about the design, and I think it looks great, personally. You could also probably hide it amongst a few real pebbles too, to really disguise it. The last 2 points aren't issues with the device itself, but are inherently an issue with IR blasters overall, which is that you tend to need these to be in the same room and within signal range of the devices they're controlling. But that's true even of dumb remote controls. The last point is regarding the Nature app itself, which does require you to set up an account. It's not the end of the world, but it would be nice to have some kind of guest mode. In conclusion, I think Nature has done a good job of pushing the idea of a smart IR blaster with Matter to a new level. Even if IR-based devices are less of a thing these days, it still has some great potential though. Let me know your thoughts on the Nature Remo Lapis, and if you have any questions regarding this, feel free to ask in the comments section below. In the meantime, it would be greatly appreciated if you could like this video, share it, and if you haven't done so already, do subscribe. In the meantime, stay safe, and I'll leave you with a quote from the always quotable Oscar Wilde, who once said, "I'm so clever that sometimes I don't understand a single word of what I'm saying." Sounds like an accurate description of some politicians to me.